All right, so welcome 31st of March, last day of March. We are getting started. Today being a Thursday, we are looking at the US yen. Well, we're looking at the dollar index, we're looking at the US yen, the euro yen, the pound yen, and also gold. What we've actually seen for the last couple of days was the dollar weakness being played out, and also, markets trending a little bit better overall. So it has been quite a nice trading day. This is recorded and will be uploaded onto YouTube later. Right now, we are going live for club members. So club members, if you've been receiving the signals as well, the trade signals, we have some analysis done in the club platform. Just make sure you check out the analysis and ask any questions there as well if you have any questions regarding the trades, your own trades, or the signals, or anything happening in the markets. With all that said, let's get started. First things first, any information shared in this video is not intended to be a trade recommendation. It is solely the opinion and views of myself. So please remember to do your own analysis prior to entering any trades. So with that, now checking out the news, what we have here. Where's my news? No. Okay, there you go. So Forex Factory for today being the Thursday, we did have some FOMC members speaking, didn't move prices too much. We had the Aussie building approvals. We saw that as a very big jump. It was a minus 27.1%, came out at a 43.5%, a big jump from the expected of 4.8. But with the yen in focus, what else do we have for today? We spoke about the GDP for the UK. We spoke about the PMI, CPI numbers for the Eurozone. CAD GDP for tonight. Traders Club members, remember tonight at 8 p.m. we do have a live session at 8 p.m. GMT +8. So I'll prepare you for this CAD news, looking to go from a 0 to a 0.2% for the GDP month on month for the US, for the CAD. So I think that we might see some interesting trade ideas or trade setups leading up to that for the US CAD. So let's talk more in detail about that during the live session tonight. And then nothing much else. Tomorrow we do have the non-farm payrolls coming up. Nothing much else for the yen in particular. So tomorrow we do have non-farm payrolls for the US. Non-farm payroll employment change number expected to go from a 678, a slight drop to a 492. I think this drop is anticipated. I think it might even see a lower than expected number, but not going to cause too much surprises. We are seeing employment numbers for the US being relatively strong and consistent. So I think a small drop in the employment change numbers would be expected there. Unemployment rate for the US looking again to strengthen slightly. Unemployment dropped from a 3.8 to a 3.7. And average hourly earnings month on month to go from a 0 to a 0.4. So hourly earnings increasing slightly there. So I'll go again for Traders Club members. Tonight's session, I will be giving you the setups that I'll be looking at for the non-farm employment change analysis for tomorrow. All right, so we're going into more detail with that. As we approach the end of the week and into the new month, April next week, let's look at what else could happen. We do have the Aussie cash rates. Cash rate for Tuesday, interest rate to hold at 0.1%. We're still looking at the yen in focus. Some US PMI numbers to be released, FOMC meeting minutes on Thursday, 7th of April. And then into next week on Friday, we have some CAD employment numbers again. So you can see not a big deal of news to be released for the yen pairs in particular. And also for today, we haven't had the Bank of Japan come out and declare for the fourth day, consecutive day, that they'll be buying 10-year bonds at a 0.25 or 0.25%. So no interventions from the Bank of Japan today, which leads to quite a should be quite a straightforward analysis for the yen pairs. But first, looking at the dollar index, we spoke about yesterday, where we were saying that if it does break below, or it was breaking below that 98.27 level, we could see it drop towards that 97.87. And if it did close significantly below that point, we could see it head towards the 97.40. What happened was it actually came down towards this 97.87, and it's sitting across right now. I think that this might be a good platform for the dollar to actually stabilize and possibly even bounce back up a little bit, possibly back towards that 98.20, 98.26 level. So we might see some stability, some bouncing back, some strength coming back into the dollar, especially with what we are seeing in the news. Again, back to the news, what we're seeing in the news, not a lot of bad news happening, not a lot of interventions happening, and also with the non-farm payrolls for tomorrow, we might see that dollar strengthen again. So I think that for today, we might see it sit across. We might see it sit across, and possibly into tomorrow, we could see the dollar bounce back up into, bounce back up into that region again. All right, so that's my view on the dollar, overall dollar strength or dollar stability before some strength. What that means is looking at the US yen, right? US yen, we were talking about this. Let me switch it to the H4 time frame. Right, so US yen on the H4 time frame, it broke below this 123 level, came as close to the 121, so it came to 121.34 before bouncing back up. At this point right now, I think that we might see the US yen bounce back up a little bit more, sit across a little bit before bouncing towards the 123 level. US yen currently at 122.19. I think that we might see it bounce back up towards the 123. What this means is, put that line, put the arrow there. I think that we might see it sit across before bouncing back up towards 123. What this means is, I wouldn't be looking for any trades in particular for the US yen unless it moves towards the 123 level and reacts there. So I'll show you what I look for. If it moves up towards 123 and breaks above this point, I'll be looking for buying opportunities above 123.20 towards the recent high point of 124.65. So you have a 145 pip move towards the upside. Stop loss would be about a 40 pip stop loss. So you're looking at a 1:3, 1:3.5 risk reward ratio towards the upside if it does go up and break above this 123 level. At about 123.25, you can look to buy. 145 pip take profit, 40 pip stop loss. Quite a good trade towards the upside. If we do see the US yen, if we do see the US yen sit across and turn down, short-term trade will be if it does break below this 121.82 level. If it breaks below this 121.82, this will be a short-term trade. You can look to sell. Again, below 121.80, below 121.80, you have a very tight stop loss. I would say maybe a 35 pip stop loss. Take profit at about 60 pips. You're looking at a one, maybe even slightly more towards the 121 level. You're looking at a 1:2 risk reward ratio towards the downside for the US yen. So this needs to come down, break below that recent low point at about 121.77. You have a 1:2 risk reward ratio towards the downside for the US yen. So I think that for the big move, on the US yen, a lot more waiting to do. Wait for it to break above that resistance before buying. If it does follow that short-term downward move, wait for it to come down, test lower, then look to sell for that test of that 121 support level. I think you have a 1:2 risk-reward ratio towards the downside for the US yen. With that, I think it's going to be more interesting on the euro yen. Euro yen has broken it. It's broke above that 133 level, didn't turn back down. We were anticipating a reversal there, didn't turn back down. But what you look at here, if I went to the weekly time frame, euro yen at a very high point. Even if I went to the monthly, you can see the last time it came towards this point was in Feb 2018. Last time it went to this point was in July 2015. It spiked all the way towards 141 and had that big reversal all the way down. So be very careful with the euro yen trading towards the upside at this point. What we're anticipating here is that if it can close quite strongly, especially on this monthly time frame, we can see it move up towards quite significantly upwards towards the, I'll put in the lines there. First level would be 139, and then again at 144, and then finally at 148. A lot of upside here for the euro yen, but the way the euro yen is going to move is going to be highly dependent on how the euro dollar moves. So looking at the euro dollar, we've seen that big upside move. We've had two trade recommendations that had hit take profit already. For the euro yen to move any further or significantly further towards the upside, it needs to break above this 1.12 resistance level. It's trending up. It's looking at a small retracement at this point. I think that we could see further upside move on the euro dollar towards the upside, but it needs to break above this 1.12 level. So if it does move up, then trade idea for the euro yen again will be for it to break above that 137 level. Okay, I'll put in this line there so it's a bit easier to see. If it breaks above this 137 level, you would have an immediate trade idea to buy it up. Break above as in the candle has to close above. You would have about again another 155 pips towards the upside, towards the 139 resistance level. Your stop loss could be quite wide at about that 70 pip stop loss. So in this case, for the euro yen H4 time frame, if it does break above this 137 level, you can look to buy at about 137.26, 137.30. You would have a 1:2 risk-reward ratio towards the upside. But because the stop loss is going to be relatively big at about 70 pips, I would recommend, size it down just so that you'll be able to sustain or have a reasonable stop loss for it to break above that resistance and to sustain that trade possibly up towards the next resistance level of 139. Anywhere in this point, you can look to close out the trade as well. But I think that if we do see the euro dollar push up above that 1.12 level, we're going to see quite a big move on the euro yen towards that upside. With that, looking at the pound yen again, we spoke about this during the Traders Club session on Tuesday evening. We were looking at it reacting to this 160 level. Given that it broke below this point, it hit our take profit of 137 pips towards the downside just as it hit, and it bounced straight back up. Again, now back at this 160 level, which direction the pound yen could be heading is going to be dependent not just on the US yen, but also on the pound dollar. So again, looking at a pound dollar here, we've seen that big move towards the downside. We were looking at that move up, which it actually moved up towards our take profit of 71 pips. Didn't go as high, it came as much as 61. So 10 pips away from what we were recommending, now coming back down again. For the pound dollar, it looks like it's run its race towards the upside. It looks like it's coming back down towards this 131 level. I think that I'll move this in just so that it doesn't confuse too much. At this point, I think that the pound dollar could come back down towards 131 and it could break lower. So given that the pound dollar could break lower from that 131 support level, quite a major support level, looking back at the pound yen again, I think that we could have another trade opportunity towards the downside for the pound yen. So zooming in here for you, I would be looking to sell the pound yen down. I'll give it a bit more space and say that at about 160.19. So if it came down below this current candle, 160.19, again, about a 85 pip. This is quite a big stop loss, at 85 pip stop loss. You would have your immediate take profit at about 110 pips towards the downside. But overall, you could even be looking for almost 190 pips towards the downside for the pound yen. So this is a 1:2, 2.2 risk reward ratio towards the downside for the pound yen, given that it rejects this 160 resistance level and it closes below 160.20, you can look to sell towards that 158 support level. But I would say for pound yen, be very careful there, be ready to close out your trade, manage it a little bit closely. I think that it might hesitate at about 159.20 or 159.30. It might hesitate about that point. Same like what happened here. If it comes close, possibly close out the trade. And then if it breaks lower, you have another trade back down towards that 158 support level. So quite a few trade ideas here for the US yen, both the upside and the downside. Trade idea for the US yen, Euro yen, and pound yen as well. With all that said, what could happen on gold? For gold, we were looking at this. The last time we spoke about this on the H4 time frame, I was saying that it was reacting to this 1900 level. And if it does break below 1900, you can look to sell it down towards the 1879. But it didn't happen, right? It didn't break below that point. So I'll take that line away. At this level right now, gold at 1926, I think it presents another opportunity. Same like what happened here a couple of days ago. 28th of March came down. 29th of March, as it broke lower, we saw it come down to test 1900 again. So what I would say for gold is you can be looking again to sell below 1922. Below 1922, stop loss at about 1933, take profit at that 1900 level or just slightly above that 1900 level. This could be a trade idea for gold towards the downside. It looks like we're selling across the board, right? Selling pound yen, selling gold, selling US yen. Make sure you prioritize your trades. Not everything is going to happen at the same time. So you could get into one trade, close out, get into the next trade, close out, and then scalp different trades as well. So quite a few trade ideas there for across the board for yen pairs, the US yen, and especially the pound yen and gold. If you are looking to trade those, make sure you trade well, trade safe. And for Traders Club members, make sure you jump onto the session tonight, 8 p.m. GMT +8. We'll be going through the US CAD because of the CAD news tonight, and also into more detail, the prep for the non-farm payrolls tomorrow. I'll be going through different charts and the different trade ideas that you could be looking for in a good news or a bad news scenario for the non-farm payrolls. With that said, take care, trade safe, trade well. I'll see you tonight. And those of you who are not club members, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.